I'm just making sure everything's working here.
All right.
All right, so Sam, I watched your video, your short film, Blue Iris, maybe about 2 weeks ago. And when I first watched it, it really connected with me on the part where like you never feel good enough and there's always that hesitation. And Naomi,
Naima.
right? Naima,
Yeah, Naima.
you like really portrayed that like reluctant, like I don't like trying to like play it off to make it seem like everything's fine, and I'm just more focused on school at the time, and that sort of aspect, that kind of like nonchalant, this doesn't really matter, kind of like trying to be stoic, but like deep down you're kind of like, oh, like it's really just bothering you the entire time. And Sam like really did a good job with like the lighting, because when she finally does, like the art show is very white, it's vibrant, it's like a new fresh start, the colors of that scene.
Yeah, so it was really fun to film. Naima did a really good job with the acting. I contacted her in like August, I think, and I just like I always like I watch her performances, and she's just so raw and emotional, and I knew that she played this so well.
Thank you.
So was that your first time acting, Naima?
That was that's my first time acting in a big short film. I had been acting like
The audio is a little.
Yeah, I can't. I thought it was just me.
Yeah, no, you're breaking up a little bit, so like when you connect, just restate what you said.
I think she's lagging, or she might have crashed. That happened to me before. So
No.
what's it called? Naima, if you're still in it, you could just text in the chat like this.
Yeah, there is a chat option
like
on here.
this. You could text like that, and then just so we know you're still in, because we can't hear you anymore.
You can also leave, and then I could admit you again. That's not an issue. But your
I think she
camera's
reconnected.
moving. Yeah, she's
Oh yeah,
reconnected.
she's moving.
Do you want me to leave again and then come back?
No, I can hear you now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Wherever you have the best connection, it works best.
All right.
I can hear you now. So we could try and continue on the laptop, and if it crashes again, then you could just go on your phone.
All right, no problem. So this was the first like big project that I was in. Before I had done a lot of stage acting and spoken word, so I didn't really do many films. So this was a really good opportunity, and when I was like, yeah, of course. So it was honestly the best experience I could ever have for a first film. Thank you, Sam. I love you.
Okay. So I remember my freshman year, I really wanted to get into more like performance art, right? And at the time, I was just like experimenting because I started doing art, like graphic design myself. And my dad signed me up for this New York like film like audition, where like they'll help you like get parts and stuff like as a beginner. And I signed up for that. And then you ever seen the movie Juice with Tupac? You ever seen that? It's from like 1990. And
I've heard of it though.
it's a really good movie. It's probably one of his like more famous movies aside from the movie Poetic Justice. And there's this one scene, it's a locker room scene. Well, not a locker, it's a hallway, and they're by the lockers. And basically what happens in the movie is like they go rob a corner store, and then everybody kind of like falls apart one by one, like psychologically. And then the one friend Tupac, he starts killing everybody like one by one. And his friend's thinking about telling what happened. And then Tupac comes, and there's this like really intense locker scene and I had that down pat. Like I practiced every single day for like 3 hours, and then the night came, like where I had to go the next morning, and I just like I didn't want to go. I was like nervous. I'm not going. I'm not going. And then I was talking to a friend of mine, and they said, just do it, and they like encouraged me. So now I stood up the entire night because I was like really like, all right, I gotta get this right. And then ironically, I woke up late and I missed it.
That's it.
That was like my lesson for where like I don't need to hesitate anymore. So when I did my short film, I found that like I finally fulfilled that like oh, I missed this opportunity, but now I'm doing it, and now it's my own situation, it's my own film, and it's not even me, it's a music video. It was a music video, and this whole day, like 2 day shoot, and it was really good. A friend of mine, Mars and Gwen from our CCA program, they shot it with their cameras, and I provided like lighting, and they got all the actors together, and it was really good.
Yeah, we saw a few of our friends are in it. I think Jade, and then I think Quincy from our drama department in our school was also in it.
Yeah, they're both in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they Quincy played Lust, and Jade played Anger, because everybody is like supposed to be a representation of like a toxic friend trait, so the 7 deadly sins. So like Jade, she did a really good job, because there's this one part, and I specifically told her like everybody's in a group, and then she kind of goes like this and then pushes everybody out the way, and then she's like pointing at me like, who do you think you are, kind of stuff. And then but like they're the toxic ones. But she did a good job in that too.
Yeah, she's so talented.
Yeah.
She's been in a bunch of shows and everything. She's so talented.
I love her. I wouldn't like be a lot of places that I am now without her, because she supports me so much. I love her. Oh my god.
Yeah, in our film, there's this last part where we had like a last minute kind of thing, and Jade stepped in and was Mila's main character's like partner in that scene. So that was really cool.
How was that casting people? Was it just like you went to your friends and then from there it's kind of like, all right, everybody jump in and let's just film this? Or is it like you had people like that you knew were acting and you're friends with?
So the high school we go to has like different majors. So there's like film majors, drama majors, dance majors, stuff like that. So I have a lot of friends, fortunately, who are in drama. So it was really easy to work with people I knew who already were like into acting and stuff like that. So generally everyone who is in the film is already acting in real life.
And how was the process of developing that script? Was it like sometimes I get ideas and it's kind of like a lightning storm, all this happens at once, or like you're like, all right, I have an idea like of like sometimes you just have like a picture of like a scene, and then from there you kind of like map out this entire thing, and you start from the middle, and then you like do the beginning, and then you do the end. So like how was that like writing that script and doing the storyboard?
So there's actually a funny thing that I couldn't come up with an idea for a script, and so I was like struggling for a long time with like writer's block, and I was like, you know what, why don't I write about this sort of art block that this girl has, and I just kind of developed it further into the script and the movie we have now.
So you kind of like portrayed what your experience onto that film.
Yeah, definitely.
I did that twice. Ahmed and we went to the same grammar school, the same elementary school. So I always kind of knew him. And like when we would talk, it'd always be about something of like significance. So like when I was a sophomore, I decided to do like a short film, right? And this is like when I was like 15. So like when you're 15, you have like no brain cells. So
right,
I was
I
like,
started this when I was 15 too.
so for me, it was like really poorly organized. and I wanted 50 people in it. So it was for a clothing, like kind of like commercial. And like, I just like, where am I going to find 50 actors? And my high school doesn't really like do that much. Plus I wasn't really like, I wasn't thinking about reaching out to like how you did with reaching out to the people in the acting program in your high school. So I just put on my social media like I need 50 actors. And then I eventually got 50 people, and I had them sign contracts to where like you agree and I'll release your media and things of that sort, right? And it was a 2-day rehearsal, and Ahmed came to both. Ahmed was supposed to be the drummer. So like for me at that time, I feel like I needed to like prove myself because I had this idea of making a clothing brand, and I wanted to like flaunt it and be like, oh, I'm doing this. It's strong. It's happening. So I did this like military kind of style. Everybody had the same exact outfit, and everybody was like doing a march to like drums and everything. And there was like, out of the 50 people that signed up, 15 came. 15 came. So like I had 50 shirts of like 20 different sizes each of the same exact shirt that I made, right? Like me and my friends, we made them by hand. And then, so I had all these extra shirts, and then 15 people came. And then when we started filming, like we did drone shots, and we didn't have a handheld camera. So like we used a drone as the camera. Like when we weren't flying it, then we used it as a camera. And then it was funny because my friend Michael Tillett, he was on the podcast last episode, and both days, because we did a rehearsal and then we did the film, and both days a bird pooped on him. Both days, like 2 days in a row, he got pooped on, and it was just really hilarious, and everybody kind of took it as like a good luck omen. It was really funny.
All right, hold on. So that was a solid intro, but on the topic of Blue Iris, we're gonna all right. So the way we're gonna do this, first we're gonna address Naima. That's how you say it, right, Naima?
Yeah.
All right. So what I'm gonna do is besides acting, do you like do any other types of art?
Yeah. I do poetry, so spoken word with a club and a competitive group in my school, which I joined last year as a freshman.
Okay.
And I had never like actually written any poems before freshman year. It was mostly reciting them for like a competition I had in my middle school. So when I came to high tech and I heard that there was this like poetry club, I was like so excited, and I finally started like wrote my first poem, and I think that's where it really took off. Show called Word Up, and that's when we all like say like speak do our poetry in front of people, and everybody was so supportive of my poetry, and I kept going from there. So I auditioned to be in the competitive group, and I was the only freshman on that group, so I was really, really, really proud of myself. And then I also sing just a little bit, but we'll see where that goes. Yeah.
That's pretty. All right. That's good to know. So what I'm gonna do now, because this is recording for the audience, I'm just gonna put this. Can you guys see the screen?
Yeah, I can see everything.
And I'm not sure if the audio works, so we're just gonna test it out real quick. All right. So I believe it was this one. You know, that one was you singing. It was actually really good. But this one is let me know if you can hear the audio.
I can hear it.
Hear the audio?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, what the frick? That was an accident. Technical difficulties.
It's
Susan over there.
And they wouldn't stop clapping, so it's like, wow.
And that's at your high school, right?
Mhm.
Very cool.
Damn, how long is this applause? That's tough. You know what's funny? I never even watched that before. I swear to God, I never watched that before. And Damon, you heard what she just said, right?
So good.
I couldn't really hear the audio, but I did hear like I'm not really sure. I couldn't make it out.
All right, towards the end, she said, praying to Allah to never be called a terrorist again.
That's the part I heard, terrorist.
Yeah,
but
something like
I
that.
didn't want to say that
All right.
unless I
That's
confirmed it.
really wild, though, because I swear to God, I've never seen this video before. And it just happens to be Ramadan as we're watching this. So
Yes.
what are the odds? So I'm just
I
going to...
know.
Are you Muslim?
Yes, I am.
All right, so am I. That's wild. I did not know that. All right, that's solid.
My dad is Moroccan, so...
Huh,
But
that's
I
tough.
wrote that poem and added this one line. That's why everyone was clapping, was because this kid, a couple of kids at my school actually dressed up as Muslims, and then they called themselves terrorists. And I was
Really?
like, what? So
What?
yeah.
Wait, what happened to
But
those kids? Did they get in like trouble or anything?
honestly, I don't really know. I think they got like, a wrist. So
That's terrible.
can't really do much about that. Yeah.
But yeah, that was like really that was really good. That was really good.
Thank you.
So I appreciated that. But all right, we're gonna slightly transition now to the director, Samiksha. So you guys can still see my screen?
Yeah.
All right. So Samiksha, you mind reading your bio right here?
Oh, okay. So it says Samiksha Thakur Sam is a 16-year-old visual artist based in the NJ and NY area. Among many other passions, such as in playing instruments and entrepreneurship, she is greatly passionate in filmmaking.
All right. So okay. We've seen the film multiple times, but something you never mentioned was like your
Oh my God.
your other things. Nah, these are really good.
No. Oh my God.
Yeah.
These are really
Oh
good.
my goodness.
Especially
no, I did that when I was like in 7th grade.
the fact that I don't know how you were able to do that. I was looking at it. I don't know how to even do like that stop frame thing. Is really tough. Especially this part right here. I literally got it ready just for this part right here where you had like the little notes flying out. That's tough. That's tough.
Okay, so that was created in I think 7th grade for like a project I had in English class. I can't look at my older works and just think, wow, that was good, because they weren't. And
Oh yeah, I respect that.
I can't, like, that's why I'm just getting a little, nervous right now.
Nah, don't though, because we appreciate it out here, and if anything, you can only go up from here. It's all improvement.
Right.
But another thing that I saw was actually I'm gonna save that for last because that was the best part. We're gonna do where is it? There's too many tabs open. Also, yeah, you also have pictures as a photographer, which is really nice. Like this one right here.
Yeah.
I like this one. We have something like this in my kitchen somewhere. I like it. Looks really professional too.
I don't really do photography, but I think I am looking into it and, trying to get better.
You did take these though, correct?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, these are fire. Thank you. All right, let's move on to this one. I think it was this one. This one. This was so tough. All right, Damon, watch it. Just look how tough this video is. The wink. All right, time out. I swear when I saw this the first time, this part right here. How did you do that?
I don't know. You'd have to ask my eighth grade creative mind. This is my admission video for the school I'm currently in. But yeah, I guess I took pictures frame by frame and then put them all together just to.
It's like, is it in the air or is it on something?
Oh, okay. So the cheese is actually, it was like, it just had enough grease to stick on this little like door frame, so I was able to like stop it, and yeah.
That's pretty dope. All right, I'm just gonna.
That's really good.
Right, right. And look at this part. I'm just gonna fast forward real quick so we don't linger too much on this. Whereas I think it was right here. Yeah, it was this part when the little mouse was rolling around. I don't know. It's just so dope. All right, that was fire. I like that.
Yeah, for me, I really appreciate that because I do animation, and like seeing like clay animation like that is, I know that's really hard to do, and I do watch like videos on YouTube. I go watch channels that do like stop animation. Like, have you ever seen the like the Tyler Creator like claymation video that he did? That was really good.
Oh yeah.
And for me, like, I didn't know you did that until Ahmed showed me that. So for me, I was like, what? She does that too? She does animation, a director, photography, and you're a really pure example of what we are presenting in this show, like youth entrepreneurship. And
oh yeah, I do have a business of my own.
Oh, well, that was the favorite part. That's what I was saving for last.
Oh.
We're gonna transition into that.
All right.
Incredible.
What's it called? All right, here, I'm gonna share it back real quick just to show a part of the film that I feel that most people would agree with, or at least I'll say something to share. All right, you guys can see the screen, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna go right here. It was at 9:10, I believe. This was the part of the film that, to me, it was like, yeah, people could definitely relate to this. Now, the whole film is relatable, but this like line, even like the sequence of texting and everything is just, I was like, I'm pretty sure we've all done this at least once before. All right, let's put it like this. There goes Naeem.
Mr. Richards, you were right. I don't believe in my work enough, and I still feel this way. I really want to keep trying, but until I set my insecurities aside and focus on the positive things, whatever they are, I'm just going to stop creating for a while. I know you expected more from me, but believe me, I feel like I'm not enough. Sorry for my outburst the other day. Sincerely, Mila.
You see, that part I find very significant because you deleted the part where you admit you don't feel good enough, and that like kind of plays on everyone to where like you want to talk to somebody about what you're struggling with, but you don't want to feel insecure and vulnerable. And for me, that really just addresses that whole like thought process of like, should I call my friend or should I talk to my father or my mom? And like, you, now that you're a teenager, you kind of feel like, oh, I don't want to be like this like baby. I don't want to be this kid. I don't want to be a burden on people. I'm not their problem. But in reality, you're still a child and you're still growing. And for me, that's like really relatable. And that's not even just for kids. That's a message for anyone through all generations, through all time. That's something that I'm sure everyone has experienced. And some people don't know how to admit it, don't know how to portray it, but you really nailed it with that, because she wrote it and then she deleted and said,
Exactly.
sorry.
Everyone's done that before.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I try to be as real as possible without being too much of a cliche, because I feel like if you think about like removing the cliches of your story, you might lose the story in itself. So, well, yeah.
Nah, that's very good. What's it called? What was the thing that I had to like think about, like what something like did this just come to you, or was the story based off an experience, or was it like what was the inspiration for you like making it?
So because I just do so many arts, sometimes I do have like this art block and I don't really know what to create, and I just have this moment of like I just feel like I'm not productive enough, or I procrastinate. And so I just wanted to kind of bring that to light a little bit in the main character, Mila. And she does experience art block throughout the story and feelings of like sadness and feeling like you're not wanted. And so I just felt like that was something everyone can relate to.
I agree with that 100%. And what's it called? Naima, you did a very good job as portraying Mila, especially like towards the beginning where you had like that little attitude thing. Like most kids, for some reason, most kids can't act, but yours, it wasn't cringy at all. Like it felt like I was watching like a show. So it was very well directed and well acted.
It was so funny when I showed this to my parents. Because they make a lot of fun of me, and they're like, "Man, you have so much attitude." Right? I showed them the film and they're like, she's not acting, she's just being herself. I was like, that is so weird. But I was kidding. Yeah, I love that you could see the character development with Mila, and I think that Sam did such a great job writing it, and there were like a lot of like rewrites, but like they were so good because you could tell she really cares about her art and everything. Sam was amazing. Like, she's incredible.
I'm glad you got.
I've known her for so long.
So now I'm gonna just.
And in art, you can always see like a piece of the artist's like soul in it. Like there's always like this like resemblance of that person in their work. And for me, like it's such a universal like message that like anybody that's like a creator, like they will relate to that film, and that's why it's so impactful.
You can keep going. I'm just gonna put these in the back ease.
So how would you recommend to all the people out there trying to create? Because right now there's a lot of creativity flurries out there. Like everybody's going on Instagram and starting these projects. How would you recommend them overcoming procrastination? Because you did talk about that.
Yeah. I think that if you really put your mind to something, you're going to do it. And if it's something you believe in, a project, or just literally doing your homework, if you really believe in like yourself and your determination and ambition, then you can get things done and do it well. I think it's I think it's just like changing your mindset about the way you look at things.
Honestly, you know what's crazy? Like that's what you just said though. A lot of like I'm not gonna say kids, but a lot of our peers, for some reason, they just can't really think that way. You know what I'm saying? It seems to me that you guys have maybe a thought for longevity, somewhat look towards the future, but maybe not too much that you're only indulged in the future, but at least like you have an understanding that you have to be somewhat productive, and it shows through your actions.
Yeah, I don't think you can change with the same mindset that you're putting out there with your procrastination and unproductive behavior. It really just depends. It starts with you, I feel like. And you can have an idea and you can have these plans and projects, but if you yourself are not in the mental space that you're supposed to be to complete these projects, then it's not going to happen the way you want it to.
Exactly. All right, so I'm gonna share my screen one more time for the This is what I've been waiting for. This is when I saw this, I got very excited. This part right. You guys see the screen?
Yeah.
All right. So this is a simple moon.
Mhm.
This just look at it. You wouldn't assume that. Actually, how old are you? I'm not even sure how old you are. How old are
I'm
you? You wouldn't assume that a 16-year-old has a website selling her own handmade crafts. And if you don't believe they're handmade, they're definitely
Direction where it
handmade.
won't look as neat. We're going to go back to the outer edge and cut it into a better looking circle. When you textured it, some parts of the outer edge may have looked bigger than other parts of the outer edge. So by doing this, you make the ice cream look a lot more like the basic ice cream scoops you see on TV.
Where do you guys find this stuff?
Remember to retexture the parts you cut. This is a very optional step, but if you'd like, you can make another ice cream scoop like I did. Cherry flavored one is bigger than the vanilla flavored one for effect. Place the ice cream scoops under the cupcake base from before. You may need to use translucent liquid Sculpey to help the second ice cream scoop stay secure on top of the bottom one.
We're not going to make it too long, but pretty much she literally just made this ice cream thing with her hand. And look how it came out. That's pretty fire. That's pretty fire.
She actually made earrings for my mom, who is a dog groomer, and for like all her clients, and they're just so incredible. They're so cute.
Right? And
yeah,
then it was.
about, like,
Is that it right there? The dog charm?
yeah, that was one of them.
Oh.
This is legit. And now the reason why this to me is so like important is simply because our brand is entrepreneurship, and this right here, it doesn't really get more entrepreneurial than literally crafting something with your hand and then selling it. That's pretty much what it is. And then read the customer service, and it's like, this is pretty fire. She's right here. This little bunny mermaid is so adorable. I got it for my daughter for her birthday, and it arrived on her birthday. It totally made her day. I love Sam's creation so much. I'm extremely pleased by my adorable purchase. Fast shipping, very sweet seller. Like, I don't even have ear piercing, but I might have to cop just for the one time. But like, this is really good. And then you have your Instagram here, and I noticed that, you know, you're watermarking your things. You want to explain why you're watermarking your things?
Okay, yes. So I don't know if you've already watched the video of me like crying, which I feel like you might have.
Definitely did.
Yes. Okay. So the thing with that was that when I was first starting out with creating these little clay jewelry, people would like take these pictures and claim that they made it, and then they would get the likes, the comments, and they would like rip customers off with like advertising something that wasn't there, something that they couldn't ship out. And so I had to start watermarking my images so that people wouldn't be able to steal, and then people would know where exactly it came from.
Very smart. And what I really respect about that is the fact that most people, again, you know, no, I'm not gonna generalize, but a lot of people, if somebody was to take something from them that they worked hard for, tend to usually give up because they just feel like, all right, well, honestly, what's the point? But I admire your resilience and the fact that you just thought of a creative way to be like, all right, you can take the picture, but now it has my water thing on it.
Mm-hmm.
Is very smart and the very way to, as you would say, grow. So it was very smart.
Thank you so much.
All right, we're gonna go pop. Now here's her Instagram, and then her shop is called The Simple Shop. All right, we could pretty much transition on to anything else now, because I just really wanted to cover that. So you have Naima, the actress, and then Sam, the director.
So what's the plan after this? What's the next film? Is there going to be one? Will there be a continuation of the Blue Iris story? What's next?
So of course I'm going to keep making more films. I'm not just going to stop at one project, but there will not be a continuation of Blue Iris because personally, when I watch movies, I only like to watch the first version because I feel like the second and the third is like never as good as the original. And so I guess keep the audience wanting more, but don't give it to them.
That's a good way to build an audience, though. Very solid.
Yeah.
And with your beginning starting towards film, you did your short film Blue Iris. What direction would you go as you get older? Because some people go to film school, some people just record. They just go out and do it, and others they'll move out to California and they'll just live out there and try and meet people. Like I think about that quite often, and I think it's very important to move beyond your home at a young age because that's the time to do it. So for you, how would you see yourself conducting that? Would you see yourself staying here and kind of building it out here? Because there's a lot of filmmakers that did do that. I like George Lucas, he built his studio in San Francisco in the 60s, and that wasn't a thing. Like, you can't make movies in San Francisco, but you did it. And actually right next door there's this company that they make film movie sets. They make sets in Jersey City. So like you don't have to go out to LA. You don't have to go out to Hollywood. You can be in New York, and there's a lot of studios throughout the country that produce these big films. How would you see yourself conducting film production in the future?
So I think with advancing in a film career, it's very, I almost like chance. It depends on the people you know. And if you could, not have as much talent as the next guy, but if you know a lot of people in the film industry, you can get far. So just with that sort of stuff, I do want to move to LA, hopefully after high school. If that's not possible, the film school is really expensive. So I don't really know if I'm going to be taking film in college, but I definitely want to like at least minor in it. Also, it's just great to have an education. So I am going to go to college, and even if it's not in film school, I will still pursue film after it. And the thing with New York is that New York is more Broadway and TV, while California is like film and Hollywood. So hopefully California soon, but not soon, but eventually.
Yeah. What about you, Naima? Is that just me?
Oh, I think it
Yeah,
sounds
I can't hear her.
Are you muted?
She's not
No.
muted.
Do you want me to use my phone?
Oh, yeah, you're good. You're good.
No, we can hear you
Okay.
now.
Woo, okay, I'm sorry. I don't know why this is happening.
Alright.
So I'm planning right now on just doing more auditions. Like I have an account on this thing called Backstage, so
I'm on that too.
doing more auditions. Yeah, they have
I'm
a
on
lot of
there.
great opportunities. Yeah, isn't it like they have a lot
I
of
get emails
opportunities?
like every hour. I get emails from there.
Me too. It's kind of annoying, but I mean, I guess we need it, right?
Yeah.
I'm planning on doing more auditions so I can get that more experience in that and focusing on my training through my major. So, and then after high school, I always get this question if I want to do film or stage, and I'm always stuck in the middle because it's like I'm happy doing either as long as I'm acting. So if I'm going to be applying to colleges in both New York and California, so I just hope for the best, you know. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't
That's
think I
solid.
have any upcoming projects.
Wait, what's that? Say that last part again.
I'm not sure if I have any upcoming projects yet, but we'll see.
All right, I just have one more question for you guys, and then Damon could take over. What was, oh, it's 2020. I'm bugging. And like, where do you guys see yourselves in like a decade from now? Like after, let's say you go to college, after college is done, like, what is your ideal situation you like to be in? You know, like where would you like to be? What would you like to be doing? Like in about a decade. That's not too far.
Okay, Naima, you want to go first?
I can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
Let me see.
1 second.
Wait, now I can hear you.
Can hear you
You
now.
can hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want me to join on my phone?
Yeah. I mean, whatever works. It's good right now, though.
It's okay. All right. So hopefully I would be on my way to like become like getting an Oscar. Hopefully, I don't know, but that's like a big dream of mine. I want to after acting get into screenwriting and directing because I did do a little bit of that in middle school as well, but I don't know. I think overall around the field of acting is just where I want to be for the rest of my life. So yeah, I love artistic expression, especially through film and stage and everything. So hopefully it's still in there, you know.
That's solid. What about you?
So in 10 years, I guess I'd be like 26. So I want to start off by doing like production assistant jobs on like sets. So that's like literally the smallest role in a film set, which is like giving coffee. It's like director and people on the set, just really anything they need help with. But I do want to work my way up. So hopefully when I'm 26, I I'm working maybe above the line somewhere in the film industry, although that is really early in a film career. Still 26 is really early. So, but I definitely do see myself on a film set.
All right, that's great. Go ahead, Damon.
So I saw when we watched the video, you did stop motion animation and you have your jewelry that you produce. But why storytelling as your primary outlet for art?
So ever since I've been young, I do so many things, and I really feel like I'm the type of person to not, like do a bunch of things but not be extremely good at all of them. So I think with film, it's just you have to really, 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 really work hard and you have to do, it's like down to the T, everything must be perfect or as perfect as you can get it. And so I think it's just really better, or like a larger outlet for me to express myself and my creativity than like making jewelry out of clay, which is just like I don't really put myself or my feelings or personality traits into those like little animals. There's just jewelry. So with film, I could do that.
Passion. You just described a very nice passion.
How about you, Naeem? Why acting? Because I know you said you do spoken word, and I've been to a few like spoken word events, and they're like everybody's really passionate. Like the energy in a room where spoken word is being taken place, like everybody's like, oh, like really like gassing it up, but it's always like eloquently said because it's not like you're like freestyling or like trying to just having fun. Like you're coming in there with a set like goal to spread this message. Why double down on acting and not spoken word?
I feel like with acting, I love I love being able to tell some like a story of a character using I read this thing where I watched this video on YouTube that said with a certain acting style, it said that each actor had a bit of themselves within the character they were playing, and I thought that stuck by me for so long because with anything that I do, I always want to make sure that I'm spreading a message that I have been through the same thing as everyone else, and that we can get through something together. Especially with spoken word, I mostly write my poems not only for me, but to help bring awareness that you are not alone in it, and I totally understand what you're going through, and we got this. We just need to get through this one bump in the road, and it's going to be okay. We just need to stick through it. Um, I I think acting just brings out a lot more challenges too, because it is hard to become a different person and to express the emotions that people want you to express. But I think it's just getting in touch with that emotional side that I really, really love. Um, so I think even in Blue Iris, it was just I totally understood how Mila felt because she's constantly thrown all of these like hindrances and like she's like being thrown rocks, like that's how I felt, and she was being tested like throughout the whole film. She's being tested, like what are you gonna do if you are failing your classes, and then you have an art piece that you have to get done in 4 days and you haven't even started. So I thought that just represented literally everything in my life. So I love expressing that sense of struggle to help other people,
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
So
see that part of the movie, like before she like starts doing the painting because she's inspired by her friendship, the flower, the iris. The part where you're like people get stuck in this like position where like you're always presented with, are you gonna give up or are you gonna keep moving? But like when you keep moving, like you kind of like reluctantly drag your feet through it. And the only thing that's really like keeping you from not giving up is that you don't want to look back at yourself and say like why didn't I do this, why didn't I do that, and
Mhm.
you'll see that like in the message, like I'm sorry. So that's kind of like a past tense of that whole emotion of like I'm dragging my feet but I'm still gonna do it, you know. It's like it's the like hero's journey. Like you have the reluctant individual, and we all stagnate towards greatness. I feel like there's this fear of greatness, and this ideal self is so significant that like you kind of like it's kind of like when you get in trouble and then you're with your parents and you kind of just look at the ground, but you're still accepting and you still love, like you have this ideal self and you're so bashful because you know like you're not that person yet, but that's you. That can be you, and there's like these moments where that ideal self does shine, and that's when you finally cross the threshold. But you don't even realize it until you're done with the task. You're like, oh, this is what it feels like. All right, on to the next thing.
Right. That's exactly how I felt with the film
Yeah.
as well.
mm-mm.
I was doing a lot of local stuff, so
Can't hear you again.
I heard it a little bit and then it cut off.
Yeah, she says like local stuff and then it cut out.
I think it's the AirPods, low key.
odds, do you think? Okay.
I think I can hear you. Yeah.
I can hear you a little bit.
Now I can hear you now.
Can you guys still hear me?
I
Yeah.
hear you
Yeah.
now.
Okay, so it was probably my AirPods. I'm sorry. Before the film, I was doing a lot of local stuff, so mostly in my high school, and I've always had that urge to branch out, and I feel like if I didn't really do something outside of the school, then I was being held back and it was my fault, and I get a lot of like self-doubt with my work. So it's like if I'm not excelling outside, then I'm not doing that good, because that's what you need to do in this industry is go outside of your comfort zone. So I was so blessed when Sam texted me. I was like, she really pulled through. I love her. She's the best. But yeah, I'm so happy with everything.
All right. I have just one more question. Answer it as honestly as you can. And about it's similar to the last question, except this is a lot of people are reluctant to answer this question because either they don't want to be like judged or they're scared that they dream too big, something like that. Life's too short to worry about what other people think. So just answer it best way you can. So I don't know how many set amount of years, but let's just say carrying it forward. What is your like ideal career after you've done everything you've done? Like all this work is for what? Any of you can do this.
Could you ask it again?
Why are you doing this? Why are you making the sacrifices now? Like what are you building up to? Like, okay, you want to do these films, you want to win an Oscar, but why? Like why make these sacrifices? Why have this dedication? What is this goal you have all the way at the end? Like you kind of can like sit back and like, all right, I'm satisfied. Or is that not even a thing? Like some people are just never satisfied.
I feel like I would like for there to be a time in my life where I am satisfied. And so I think the ultimate goal is to be signed to like possibly like a production company where I can consistently screenwrite for movies or edit or something like that, something above the line. I just want to live the American dream, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you. That's solid.
Yeah.
What about you?
I wanna win an Oscar. That's the ultimate goal, winning an Oscar.
I would love to win an Oscar too.
It was like mind blown if that ever happened to me. If I think about it, but I feel like I do this not only just to challenge myself because, you know, like before, given the self-doubt, like, am I really gonna push through? Am I really gonna stay like with it? If even with acting, there's so much like rejection that you have to go through, so it's just a battle with yourself all the time, and like really wondering like, are you gonna stick to it? Are you gonna keep going on auditions even though you're rejected by like 20 other people? Like, are you gonna keep going? So I think it's a good challenge for myself too, but doing what I love.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree too. And the thing is, in like correlation with what you just said, like you wanting to, both of you wanted to win an Oscar is very doable. The only reason
Yeah, I'm still on.
Can I get you anything?
I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait. You good? You good? All right, there we go. So like, is very reachable. Now, depending on who you talk to, they'll be like, "Oh, I don't even know why you would try that." And those are the people that you would call, I'm trying to think of a nice word. Those people are just, you don't want to surround yourself with those people, and I'm pretty sure you're aware of that by now. Like I remember, I had a teacher, like a real teacher. This was like 2 years ago in high school. And then she asked us, what the career was. And somebody said they wanted to be like a professional athlete. And she literally said flat out, like, this is verbatim, oh, you'll never be able to do that. You could be behind the scenes though. Like, to the student's face, and everybody's like in the class. Like, she just said it like that. And then there'll always be people like that. Now, that kid ended up not really continuing with sports because that got to him. But yeah, it's sad, but that's the reality of things. You're always going to face like rejection. You're always going to face haters. But at the end of the day, the only person limiting whatever you can do is you. Like, so if, like, for say the Oscar thing, you can easily, I'm not gonna say easily, but you can get an Oscar if you literally apply yourself to get an Oscar. Meaning, how much are you willing to sacrifice? How much time are you willing to put in? It's at the end of the day, how bad do you want it? Because you don't want to live life kind of just like half-assing things. Whatever it is in life that you want and you apply yourself, there's no reason you shouldn't get it, because that means mentally whatever adversities come to you, you're gonna overcome it because you just want that thing so bad. Whether it's rejection, whether it's financial discrepancies, whether it's anything that just brings you down, it shouldn't even faze you. You should almost have like a stoic mindset to it. You know what I'm saying? Which is like anything outside your control. There's no reason to worry about it. And then that's a lot of things that I see that you guys have adapted. And I just wish more of our peers would adapt that type of mindset, because we could be very successful in literally anything if we just brought each other up.
Yeah. That was really inspirational. Thank you.
The idea of believing yourself has always been prevalent with me, and it's just throughout all generations and throughout all motifs of stories or religions. Like, my coach, when I was a freshman, I was playing football, and I was just playing to have fun. My goal wasn't to go play college football, right? And he said to me, "Look, do you believe in yourself?" I was like, "Yeah." Like, I didn't know like what that meant. So like for me, I was like, "Yeah, I believe in myself. That's why I'm here." So like I ended up transferring out of that school, and on one of the things he said to me, like, he was a really good coach, and he said, "Look, you don't want to do this and that. You want to double down, essentially." And I guess I don't think his intention was for me to be like, okay, let me just go pursue art and leave school and stop playing football, for me to double down on sports. But for me, like, that kind of like made me realize, oh, I'm not looking to be this football character. I'm looking to be what I always wanted to do, and that is create something that can be valued to society, and not to the American society, but there's things that take generations to be appreciated. Like, for example, like there's so many novels, so many authors that, like, for instance, The Great Gatsby, that wasn't really accepted until like later on generations. Like, there's a lot of things. So I'm not concerned about getting my message to the whole world. I'm just concerned about getting it out and making sure I give all that I can. And it doesn't matter if so and so believes in you, because they don't work for you. They don't sleep. They don't do anything that you need to do to survive. And the belief in yourself is really what brings you forth. And like, you look at all these people like The Rock. The Rock was homeless, and now he's the most paid actor in Hollywood, right? Obviously, he built his way up, and his father was a wrestler, but he was homeless, and now he's number one. Nobody can touch The Rock. There's so many people of that rags to riches, and it's so attractive. But then once you get hit with that trial and tribulation, either going to flake or you're just going to carry that burden. You're going to carry that. And for me, no, there's a lot of people in my family that have, when they were younger, wanted to do a creative pursuit, but they stopped. They stagnated. And for me, like, I have it like in the palm. I have the palm of my hands. And if I stop now, if I just say, oh, you know what, I'm gonna play it safe and I'm gonna go get a major in marketing and then I'll do this on the side. Like for me, like if it means 10 years of just like being at the bottom, but in my mind, I'm number one. You know, like material might say I'm here, but I know I'm here. Right. And that's how I feel now. Like right now, I already feel like I'm doing what I want, but there's still like these decisions I have to make. Right. So like, do I want to commit to school? And there's probably a million people with that same issue at this very moment. And for you, you're younger than me. So when that decision does come, I really do say, believe in yourself and double down. And that's really all it is. That's all it is. Look at what inspires you. Like, and you'll be like, oh, these guys believe in themselves. She believed in herself. Like, and for you, you're like a strong female person. You're a strong female leader. So for you, you're really gonna carry that torch of leadership. And for me, like I have all my heroes, but for me, you inspired me. So like you, I know you will if you continue doing what you're doing and exceed what you're doing now, exceed what you believed you could. Like there's so many things that I thought I would never be able to do, like animation, but I did it. This I'm doing now. This literally started from a conversation. So like something might seem small, but it's like a mustard seed. Like that parable, like the faith of a mustard seed, right? So, it's gonna start very small, humble beginnings, but it will be exalted. So for me, it's like you gotta have a stoic attitude. You're gonna be in that storm, and that's what the boat is. That's what the boat is. It's just prevail. So believe in yourself, and the world is yours, I guess.
So I think before you guys asked us like what our ideal goal is. So now I'm wondering, what are your ideal goals?
Oof.
I would like to know.
I would very much like to know.
Damon, you want to go first?
Ahmed, I would like you to take the torch on this first.
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
All right, see. Even though people had just said earlier that you shouldn't be afraid to tell people your dreams and stuff like that. Only because, like you only live once, as far as we know, what I'm saying? We don't know whatever is after this life, if it's similar to this life. So whatever you do, why not go 100%, right? Yeah, I'm a complete hypocrite. So it's like, I mean, I don't mind telling, I'm definitely going to tell you nonetheless, but it's just like, even though like I'm well aware that this isn't something that should be bothering me, I'm still a person. It does bother me a little bit. Like I know I shouldn't worry about judgment, but nonetheless it still affects me, right? But to answer your question, my dream, I say it's not a career per se. I have a goal that I would like to attain. And it sounds see, like I'm thinking about it, like I'm thinking about saying it, and it's like, why would you say that? Like I'm literally already doubting myself.
No, nothing is stupid enough. It's okay.
No, it's not even stupid. I remember I even told my parents about it, and it was like, oh, okay, that's a little. They didn't say none of that, but they were like, that's a little. Hey, try your best, But pretty much the end goal is maybe in about like 30 to 40 years. I'm gonna well, actually, I'm gonna give you some background first, so it doesn't seem kind of just like random. I was born here, right? Like I was born here, but like when I was like under a year old, I moved to Senegal, which is in West Africa, right? And I was pretty much raised there. So I was born in America, but I was raised in Senegal. And then I moved back to America when I was like 7, 8-ish, right? So I had to learn like English and all this stuff. Like, yeah, so like my first language isn't even English, it's like French and like a African tongue. But pretty much on my time there, and like of course like every now and then we'd visit Senegal back again, and I would just see the difference of lifestyle here, there, and it's like we're all living in the same time. It's not like they're living 10 years behind us. Like we clearly have the same time. So why is it that we have all these luxuries when they don't even have the basic necessities. You know what I mean? Like, and then it goes on to this whole deeper political thing and everyone having an agenda. And pretty much like, yeah, I don't have enough time to really give details on that because it took like pretty much years of research. But that the top of the goal is there's just always been corruption everywhere in the world, especially Africa, right? One of the highest sources of natural resources that currently get objectified and just taken, like, and they just, the reason for that is education. There, ignorance isn't a bad word, but people use it as a bad word. But it's just to say the people there are ignorant. My people over there are 100% ignorant. They don't understand that this is your land. Why are you getting taxed on your own land? You know what I'm saying? Why are you paying why are you paying other countries to export your oil? You know what I'm saying? How can you be this poor and everyone's getting rich off of you? It's just so upsetting when you think about it. It's like, all it takes is a little bit of knowledge, and you realize, oh, I don't really need any of these countries just coming in and taking my stuff. So I'm spiraling right now, but just to get back in the goal is kind of to, like, when I'm older, I plan on maybe not living there, but definitely moving back and pretty much just completely redoing their whole political system. And I know it's very doable, and it will take effort. And the number one fear that keeps coming into my head is that people don't want you to kind of make them, like, people don't like when you learn things, because when you learn things, you start to be self-reliant, you know, and when you start to get self-reliant, other people don't make as much off you. And this is like a whole, just like a political thing, but like if Africa right now was to step up, like a perfect example is a country in Africa is Rwanda, who literally, I don't know if it was the Italians, they kicked out one of the Eastern countries, right? And then they've just been thriving since then. They have their own currency, they have their own policies, their own laws, their own everything, completely self-sufficient, right? And then they came from, like, you know, like when you think of Africa, like a lot of people have these stereotypes. They think of like lions walking around sand and tiki huts. That's really not the case. I mean, we're definitely a couple years behind, but we still have modern technologies. But Rwanda, if you were to look at Rwanda, it would low-key look like it's a part of the future. It looks like a real-life Wakanda. Like, it's no joke. Like, it looks pretty nice. You wouldn't assume that it was Africa. And it only took one leader to just change that completely. They were like, all right, like, we're not messing with y'all no more. Like, we're doing our own thing. And then that's exactly what happened. So my goal is somehow, some way, I know I'm going to achieve it nonetheless, but somehow, some way, is just to rearrange that ignorance, just to teach the people that they shouldn't be getting clapped. Like, they shouldn't be in the position they're in, because they have the resources, they have the people. There's nothing really stopping them but themselves. And that goes back to what we were saying before, of that self-doubt. Like, a lot of people, I remember when I was there, when I'll give you my cousin as an example, because I still talk to my cousin, like, over WhatsApp. Like, he always tells me how he wants to move to America, because how there's better opportunities in America, like you were saying earlier, like the American dream, so on and so forth. And I'm saying, well, why can't you just do everything you want to do back home? And then he's saying, well, it's kind of hard, you know, we don't have all these advantages that you guys have. We don't have all these resources that you guys have. And then it's like, why don't you have these resources? And it always stems down, I don't even like really talking to politics about people, but that's just really what it is. Politics truly do run the world. And it's sad, but that's the truth. So somehow, some way, the goal at the end of this is just to fix that, kind of, you know, make my people more aware, make sure that at least somehow, some way, before I leave this earth, I can leave knowing that I definitely made a positive change. And then I don't know, I just don't like seeing people suffer like that, or people in general suffer, but especially suffering off ignorance. It's just, it's very upsetting. But yeah, that's about it. I just want to change it.
Ahmed, I'm gonna add to that. From what I studied and from what I understand, politics is just a dance, right? So you have it's a whole room of people dancing, right? It's a ball, right? And it's this big sphere, and everybody's in there at once. And there's you have the composer or DJ, whatever, right? You have to, like, you have to be yourself and be free and moving, right? So for me, like I looked at history, right? And like the idea of like, oh, I want to be remembered, like I think that's like if you think about historical figures that are remembered, right? And if you know anything about history, you'll think of, for instance, you'll think of like Julius Caesar, Napoleon,
Hitler.
Adolf Hitler, and then like maybe somebody else, right? But those are like the three most famous people, like people that like history, you know them. You know those names. And they're all greedy people that had this vision of I'm gonna do what I want and this is my utopia, right? So it's like you study that, right? And then you start to think, wait, I have an idea of a utopia too. Am I like this person?
I don't know.
Right? But then you gotta go back to like, oh, it's the intention, right? So why do I want to do this? Right? It's not about the how, because there's always a how, but why is very, very important. So then I started to say, okay, where's these selfless people throughout history, right? Now some people will be like, oh, John F. Kennedy, great president. Now I'm like a history guy, so I collect things. So I have a couple of John F. Kennedy like historical significant items, but he wasn't really a great guy, right? So then I started to look at more people. So like you have somebody, for instance, the leader of South Africa.
Mandela?
Say that again.
Nelson Mandela?
Nelson Mandela. He was in prison for how many years? Like 3 decades, right? 3 decades, maybe more.
And that's
Right?
an example of what I was talking about earlier. How
So
just try to change something, like they get arrested or they get assassinated.
yeah. So for me, like I look at all these people, right? And the people that really do change culture, it's in a selfless way. So I had to like kind of think about like, okay, like being selfless is the key to changing society, right? So you look at like America and you say the American dream, right? That's like we talked about that, me and the Met, and it's like this concept, like what does that even mean? And for me, it's kind of like what Ahmed said. Okay, America is the part of that Western culture, but it also stuck the middle finger to it and said, no, I'm going to have my own land. But at the same time, you had these people with horrible intentions and then they committed genocide on Native Americans, right? And for me, like, I don't understand why people in America, like United States, look at Latin America and say that's like a whole different world. It is a different culture, but it's America. It's part of America. And the United States has this responsibility of carrying the Latin culture because I look at it now and there are some thriving countries, like for instance, Panama, but I don't know enough about the politics, but there's a lot of corruption. And anytime somebody did come up, they were assassinated, right?
Exactly.
And nobody knows these people. Nobody knows these names because people like Pablo Escobar had them assassinated, or like these giant. But everybody knows Pablo. Everybody knows Escobar. But when it comes to this guy that's selfless, it's just like swiped under the rug. So like for instance, Ahmed said there's this like portrait of Africa where it's just like a safari, and then there's this portrait of Latin America and it's just colorful houses and drugs. That's the portrait of Latin America, right? But like I feel like Latin America and Africa are some of the most richest, like in terms of geography, places, and they connect. Like if you look at it, they connect, they form. So I feel like these are we have the eastern continent and we have the western continent, and the two continents that are carrying like that side of the world and that side of the world, they're all I don't want to say oppressed, because obviously there's been proven where you can pick up you can get up and take care of yourself. But there's this ignorance, right? My cousin, she's from Colombia, and she tells me, oh, well, it's not her, but my grandma's explaining to me that a lot of people get educated, but they can't get a job there. So, and by the time they're 30, they're not going to find a job. So everybody goes to college, right? The education's there, but the opportunity isn't, right? So, like, it's just this like whole thing. Like, you have everybody starts from the same place, but it's about like how far you go. And I have family members that did leave their countries and then came here and to build. And there's a lot of people that do that. They come here in the United States and then they build here and then they go back to their homeland, like the hero's journey. You leave, you go through that whole process, and then you return home, right? So for me, it's kind of like I want to build myself, because me personally, there's a lot of people that say, okay, the collective or the individual. I'm an individual. We're all individuals. I think that the collective wouldn't exist without strong individuals. So for me, education is number one. And that's why this podcast exists. That's why it exists. Because this is, at the end of the day, it's education. And if we're not struggling against people, we're struggling against the principalities of like the darkness of ignorance, right? It's not that Joe is a horrible person. It's that Joe is ignorant, right? And I think everybody has a turning point, right? I like maybe like you have those like obscure scenarios where like people are mentally disturbed, like psychopaths. But like a healthy person at the core knows that they shouldn't be abusing another person. And for me, like that journey is important. You need conflict to grow. That's like when you work out, your muscles tear apart, but then they reconnect. So it's this weird like conflict of like you need the struggle to thrive. And there's so much struggle right now that humanity can be elevated. But for whatever reason, there's this idea that if you help somebody else, they might push you down, right? So it's like I encounter that all the time, right? So like, for instance, I reposted your film, right? Like that's me kind of like not elevating you, but sharing your information, right? Like helping you out, right? And it's not from like some like political dance. It's from like, okay, if I help this person, right, there will be a stronger individual, right? And I'm a strong individual, and Matt is a strong individual, and Naomi is a strong individual, right? And that creates a strong collective, right? I'm not about give the collective free money and here's like everything you need, go. It's like, no, you gotta elevate yourself, but don't be like this like cold shoulder. You had to have compassion. You have to be selfless. And for me, it's like this whole like Ahmed said, like countries are being exploited for materials, like the material for iPhones is all coming from Africa, right? It's these rare materials, right? So like, wouldn't it be better if they were economically empowered? And at the end of the day, that's why it's youth entrepreneurship, not youth the life or whatever. It's entrepreneurship, because the world we live in, you need to be economically empowered, right? You can be a Gandhi, but if you look at it, the people that are more economically free in the long run, they'll make a bigger impact. So
Exactly.
it's about empowering you, the individual, and be selfless once you get to that position.
Let me add on to that real quick. Keep in mind everything he just said, but don't ever neglect the fact that realistically, there will always be selfish people in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sure you're aware of that. There will always be people that try to exploit you, or for some reason, I don't know, like I can't even like try to rationalize why people don't look to benefit each other. That way we could all literally just be the best. I don't know why people have those to be better than others. I don't know why people just are people, but nonetheless, people are people. And you'll always encounter that. And just something I've seen is people get so disappointed in what they see that they stop doing what they were doing. And don't ever let that happen. Like, I'm going to try to find an example that fits in your scenario. So let's say one of you guys, or both of you guys, right, get like a gig, right? And then like there's like a lot of money on the table, right? And then like the dude negotiating seems like a very nice dude, right? And let's say it's like $100,000. And they're like, oh, you know, you do all this and then we'll pay you. And then why are you calling me? You know, what's it called? And then, you know, I just lost my train of thought. Oh, that's terrible.
I think you're talking about like a gig.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know you're going to get paid, right? And then obviously, you know, money's a necessity in our current society as we value it. But so you take pride in that, you know, you're going to work hard and you're going to get paid for it, right? Because you kind of need to get paid for it. That's how you live. And then let's say that they screw you over at the end of the day and they give you like 10% of the earnings, right? Now that's like legally, like some people can do that and it's terrible. And it's like, why would you do that though? Like, why couldn't, if anything, even though I did all the work, why not even 50-50? Like, why take all this? And it's just, at the end of the day, people are going to be selfish. Some people just aren't nice. Like, don't expect everybody to be nice. What I'm trying to get at is don't
Be naive.
don't be very aware that there are some very, very sinister people out there. You know, you have to be aware. That doesn't mean you have to go out constantly on watch and always have your guard up, but just be aware of it because it does exist, and you don't want to be ignorant to the fact that in a hypothetical situation, if you were to let your guard down, you would get taken advantage of, and that's the reality of things. So, you guys, I mean, we're all young, and we haven't seen too much. I think I don't know what you guys have seen, but I would assume that we haven't seen too much. But when reality truly hits, just be prepared. You know, it's not all sunshines and daisies. It'll get a little critical at times, and as long as you're aware that life, that's exactly what life is. You have your high moments, and then you have moments like, wow, this person is actually like terrible. As long as you have a genuine understanding of that, there's nothing stopping you in life to literally do whatever you want to do. Absolutely nothing.
A lot of the things that you do within life is just knowing your self-worth, one, awareness, and your morals, setting your morals straight. That's why a lot of people become selfish and stuff, because they don't have their morals straight, you know?
Exactly.
So and also, yeah, education is a big part of it. You know, a lot of people don't know that a lot of people don't know about other cultures and stuff, and it's really sad to see, because it's like, how are you gonna call other people, like, for instance, when we were talking about terrorists, like, how are you gonna call the people a terrorist when you don't even know the background to it? You know, yeah, like Arabs, we come from like Arab descent. Other people always think, oh, like, you're gonna be a suicide bomber or something.
Oh my God, I hate, like, that's so upsetting.
It makes me so mad, because it's like, do you even know why? Do you even understand it? Because a lot of the time, Arabs are manipulated by the higher beings that, oh, because if I do this, then I'm going to go to Allah and He's gonna, praise me because I did it in His name, you know? And, it's just so sad, because then people are bashing on like Hispanics and like Mexicans, and it's like, but do you even understand the background to it? Understand the background and then talk to me about it, because obviously it's not in your understanding.
Exactly.
It's all about morality and education at the end of the day, you know?
And it's terrible because, like, even like statistically speaking, Arabs aren't even the majority of Muslims.
Exactly.
Like, but you know this is why it's always, there's no matter, something I've realized whatever conversation you have at a certain point, it reaches either two topics, religion or politics, somehow, some way. I don't know how, but it always reaches one of those topics. And the reason for that stigma that Muslims are terrorists, where even apparently if you understand the religion itself is Islam, you can't be a terrorist. That's not even how it works fundamentally. But people don't understand that because people don't take the time to do the research. Instead, they watch the news and then they see what people's agendas are on the news and they're like, oh, okay, I'll believe that. And then you have these ignorant people marching down the street talking about ban Muslims, blah, 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 do this and do that. And it's upsetting because it's like a quick Google search will show you that's false, like 30 seconds out of your day. And you can easily see that's false. But it's just, ignorance is such a powerful tool. Like, and politicians know how to manipulate it. And the reason why so many people think, like, they just see an Arabic person or anybody that looks even Middle Eastern, like they see Sikhs, like, which are of, I think, I don't know if they're Indian descent, but I know that they have like the turban on, and then they even think that they're Muslim, and that's two completely different cultures. But you just see an Arabic person and you're gonna be like, oh, Muslim, oh, terrorists, and that's based off the news, that's based off propaganda, and it's just like, I don't know when it's gonna change, I don't know if it's gonna change, but nonetheless, it's apparent. And that's one of the things I was talking about earlier, that there's some people in this world that just aren't good. It's like, why would you portray that? You know what I'm saying? So it's upsetting, but that's the reality of things.
It's interesting because my
Oh, you're muted. You're
Cut
muted.
it out. You cut out again.
Can you hear again?
I can hear you now.
Okay, I'm sorry. Well, my brother, he's a fencer, and his coaches are from Senegal. And
tough.
his past birthday, I think it was last year. They donated, like, they had everyone, instead of bringing gifts, money for people in Senegal, and his coach, Abdullah, he would give it to the people over there, and it was so cool. I did a birthday once where I donated money to this child who was born with birth defects. Unfortunately, she died about a year ago because of it. But we gave them so much, like, we tried to, like, give them a bunch of money so then they could pay for, like, her hospital bills. But, you know, I feel like it's always, like, the small things that make such a big impact, that I feel like we need to look more into that instead of judging people, because it's like, what are you gaining from it? Like, what are you gaining from it?
Absolutely nothing.
Nothing. So, I mean, that's my feeling on it.
All right. What about you, Sam? I haven't heard you in a while.
Well, you guys have been like saying everything I feel as well. So I don't really know what to add on to it, but I agree.
We all need to keep in touch for the future. I feel we could definitely help each other out somehow, somewhat. Anything else?
I think we did everything.
Honestly.
Let's do so I want to be able to post a photo of the conversation, so you can like pose however you want, and then after this I'll like screenshot this moment.
Right.
So
is this gonna be, because I have a little thing set up for the outro, so should I do that first and then we do the picture, or do the picture first and then that?
yeah, we can do the outro and then the photo will be the last thing.
It's just for the video because it's recording, right?
Yeah.
All right, people. So just make sure to you guys watch her film, Blue Iris. And I like this scene. I'm just gonna play this real quick. I like the way it plays out. That was fire. All right, make sure you guys what's it called? Give Sam a follow. Also give wait, I keep forgetting how to say it.
Naima.
You know, give Naeem a follow right here. It's their professional account. You know, if you guys have any info that could be of benefit to either of them, hit them up. You know, it's only positive when you help each other out. And that's about it. Make sure you get the like.
Thank you so much.
All right, so we're gonna do a pose. This is do a pose. Like, okay. All right, we're good. So this will be available by the end of this week, and just like my previous podcast, it'll be distributed, and then I'll make clips, and then there'll be like highlight clips on my Instagram. And you know, of course, feel free. I can send you it, and then you can do whatever you want with it. It'll be available on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, and YouTube. So you can always watch it on there. And the Instagram Live, it should be downloaded when it's done. So you could probably go back and listen to at least my audio. This will be available later because this all has a download. But if you have any other questions or anything that you want to add to the conversation, like if you want to plug anything in or thank somebody or whatever you want to say now, go ahead.
Well, I would love to see more of your guys' work. So if after this you could just send me a link of, you know, what you've been working on, I'd love to see it as well. But thank you so much for having us. It was really like an intellectual talk.
Thank you, both of you guys. Did I cut off? Hopefully not.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay, good. I really am inspired by what you guys are doing. This is amazing. If this is coming out everywhere, you know, this is amazing. Like, look at you guys. You guys should be proud of yourselves. Also, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Have a good weekend. Stay connected. We could definitely have you guys on again. I mean, we don't even have to talk about your work. I mean, we hold good conversation just about, you know, goals and ideals. So thank you for coming on, and I'll be sending it to you. Have a good weekend.
You too.
I don't know how to end this.
I end it right now.